Hello. Welcome to Healthy by Choice, the podcast that's here to ignite your belief in what's truly possible for your health and well-being. Hi, I'm Dr. Kerry, and what lights me up is empowering others. My mission has always been to inspire you to take your health seriously and give you the tools to understand your body on a deeper, more meaningful level. In each episode, we'll explore the healing power of nature, the role of real food as medicine, and how intentional movement can restore balance to your body and mind. So whether you're on a journey of prevention, recovery, or simply seeking more vitality, this podcast is your reminder. You hold the power to heal. Thanks so much for joining me. Hi friends, welcome back. So today I want to talk about intentional movement. I know that in the introduction of this podcast, I refer to intentional movement. And often the word exercise can be too big of a destination. And I don't want to be off-putting. I want to use movement, intentional movement as, stretching, hello stick yoga, foam rolling, isometric or calisthenics, which is planks, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, using your body weight, things you can do at home or really anywhere. And there are so many options available. So this topic, right now I'm recording at the beginning of our dark season, right? So it's darker earlier, it's colder. Inherently, we are sitting, at the very least, we're sitting more. Most people come home from work and it's dark, and then they're not getting back out, or what I'm hoping they're not doing is not getting back out. But when there's more sitting, often there's an increase in eating and often a likely junky eating, right? So because of the proximity or the convenience, it tends to happen. So I want to get ahead of that. And I want to encourage all of us to just think about options that we have available to us. And these can be small, frequent, or, longer duration. My recommendation is to set a minimum. I'll give you an example of several years ago, our local basketball team was winning and we were watching every game all the way through. And that is 3 hours. And when I realized I could be sitting for 3 hours, I made a commitment to myself that if we were watching a game, I would pull out the foam roller. And to be honest with you, once I'm on the ground, then I will also stretch a little bit, also, get a little bit more done. So my recommendation is create a plan. The Peloton app allows stack classes, so we can sign up for a class and then schedule it and put it on the calendar. And it's one of those things. It's still true that finding a buddy, a workout partner, or an accountability buddy can still be the most motivating thing. But you can sign up for a class on your own, whether that's an online or in-person class, and you can absolutely pull out your calendar and get it on there. And I totally get it that you may not be up to go out for a run or even a big hike. I'm not a person who likes to come home and then leave the house again when it's cold and yucky outside. So if I didn't stop on the way home at the gym, I'm not going to the gym. And it can be overwhelming when there's weather as well, right? We can have the best intentions, and it just does not always make sense to get back in the car and go out, depending on where you live in the world when there's weather. So let's use this opportunity to set ourselves up for a strong foundation while the weather's not good and while it's dark early, and do the bare minimum in the cold weather during the darkness of winter, and then intend to add more movement in the lighter, longer days. So I know that there's more likely to be live music, more dancing, more likely to walk a little bit or a little further when it's nicer outside, of course. But let's talk about using this opportunity to build this foundation in the home or from home, or, some people it could be from their office. I don't know. But, also it is okay to hibernate in the cold of winter. We are meant to rest. We heal when we sleep. But what I'm saying is, let's not confuse staring at a screen for rest. If you are getting rest, get sleep. More sleep is healthy, especially during hibernation season. Also, commit to keeping your body in motion. We are built for movement. Movement is inherently healthy. Regular movement improves circulation. It strengthens our bones, and it supports metabolic health. Moving our bodies is how we boost blood flow to our brains. And I often talk about mood enhancement. Exercising the body supports neuroplasticity and improves mood through dopamine and endorphin release. And this helps emotional regulation. People learn better when they move, and they think more creatively and clearly when they get movement in their bodies. There are, I guess you'd say, classes available that they teach on spin bikes. They tell people to use listening devices and do walking if you're learning a new language, or get on a spin bike, a stationary bike, and it will increase your learning and memory by a large percentage. So this isn't like just, Dr. Kerry says. It's absolutely something that is fact. And I feel like if we combine the need for our bodies, inherently the need to move, with the benefits, maybe we'll find more motivation. I don't know. I need to keep moving. I'm not really good at sitting at all. But let me give you some in-home options, right? So I was saying dancing, and in the summertime, there's often dancing out, but dance at home. There's lots of research on how good dancing is for your brain, how good it is for your spirit, your mood. So increase your dancing. Dance while you're doing the dishes. Squatting. And I recommend getting good at it. So learn the perfect squat. Learn to do it perfectly. You can do 90 squats, or you can hold a squat for 90 seconds. And there are all kinds of YouTube videos on how to do that and the recommendations. So those are both pretty popular options. I like to rotate and twist, not just while I'm dancing, but I like to keep my spine in motion, and my shoulders and my arms. Of course, yoga or Pilates, both of those keep the spine in motion. A good moving spine is a good healthy spine. And something more advanced would be doing some jumping and crawling. I don't know how many people in their adult life have tried to crawl, but I will tell you, I have never been more sore after a workout than crawling. I mean, you could just follow a kid around, find your local kid and follow a kid around on an obstacle course, like in the living room. They know how to go up and down and around and jump off, There are several studies of people who say that in order to build bone in our body, we can do heel drops, right? So ultimately, we want to encourage mechanical loading in the body and, of course, build bone. We need to stop sitting. This in and of itself is another podcast, by the way, but just doing heel drops, just jumping in the house is an excellent way of increasing bone density and getting yourself moving, particularly if you combine it with other things, like do a few squats, do a few heel drops, do some jumping, do some heel drops, etc., etc. And of course, have fun, smile, laugh, put on some music, of course. So I was thinking about some of the ways to incorporate more intentional movement. And some of the things I came up with were set a timer, number one, so that you say, I'm going to dance for 10 minutes, or I'm going to, run in place for 10 minutes or whatever. I actually really like those rebounders too. I have had it's like a small trampoline. It's really fun. And then I set a timer and both dance, run in place, and jump. Change position every time a new show or a new episode comes on. So if you are a binge watcher, just put into place some healthy habits, which is another reason to drink a lot of water, so that you have to get up more because you'll have to use the bathroom more. Stand or pace while you're on the phone. Just don't lie around or don't sit. Just get up if you do talk on the phone. Of course, my example of foam rolling, right? So every time I introduce the idea of foam rolling, every patient says, how long? And I always say, just 30 seconds to 3 minutes, between 30 seconds and 3 minutes. And I'll tell you, I say that because I know we're going to end up doing a little bit longer. Even if the first few days you hate it so much, you only do it for 30 seconds, you'll increase, I promise. And fun fact, do not only the backs of your legs, but the front, the quads will really loosen up your knees if you do some quad foam rolling. Squat against the wall and hold it. Or put a ball behind your back and squat up and down against the wall. Squatting is, using those major big muscles. Really good stuff. Get on the ground and stretch. I like to tell myself that I have to be on the ground if I'm watching TV. And, I'll end up doing abs. I'll end up doing planks. I'll end up doing stretching. Just once I tell myself I have to be on the ground. I'm not the only one, but my friends and I have all agreed that there is a trick. If we set our yoga mats out, we are more likely to use them, even though it's bothersome to me, and we've all agreed this. I hate that my mat is out. It kind of makes me feel like the house looks messy. But if I have my yoga mat out and set up, I'm more likely to use it. So try it, at least during the week or whatever. Trick yourself. Another thing is pick a body part. Like if you have something you want to improve, if it's one of your weak spots or if it's an undeveloped part of you, and then create a protocol. Go on YouTube or go on the internet and find out how to develop and strengthen that body part. And there will be stretches and strengthening. And then you can include let's say for 6 weeks or whatever, you can include a time duration and then put it in your calendar. Like make it a priority so that you set yourself up to know that you have yourself on the calendar. This is you taking care of you. It's another form of self-care, and just put it on the calendar. If it's calf stretches or I don't know, I'm making it up, foam rolling my calves, calf stretches, and I don't know, icing my calves, do it. Just have it on the calendar. Again, we want to encourage movement. And I think the more we remember to include ourselves, the more we will remember to include ourselves. Again, the word intentional, right? Not just movement, but intentional movement. And there are really a lot of things we can do when we decide. Obviously, if you have home equipment, that's even better. And there are lots of apps available. Many of them are free. I hope you will use them and take advantage of them. Ask a friend or get an accountability partner. That's always a good thing too. But either way, just remember, it's not just you. I have been joking recently that it gets darker earlier, and I took it so personally. Like, I don't want it to get darker earlier. Poor me. I feel so sorry for myself. It's dark when I get up and, dark when I get home from work kind of thing. And, I don't want to sound like a whiny baby, but the fact is I realize we're all going through the same thing, and it's not a good time to just shut down and eat more crap. And I hear it's one of the things that people talk most about, and it's one of the questions I get most in the office is like, how do I, and on a really stormy, rainy, cold day, And granted, I live in Northern California, so that's not exactly the same as an ice storm in Wisconsin. But it sometimes just does not make sense to say, go to the gym. It'll be good for you, And I get that. Of course I get that. I live in a body too, and I know what it's like to need to find my own motivation, and I do my best. And I just really want to encourage you to give yourself credit where you do a good job. And like I said earlier, those isometric calisthenics, if you're just doing planks, maybe planks, push-ups, squats, something like that, you'll get better and better at it. There are so many abdominal things you can do. That's, running in place, all the things, whatever you can make fun. I just want to recognize that sitting is usually what people do all day long, and usually, the commuting. So then going home and sitting, whether it's on a device or, even the knitting and crocheting and, puzzling, all of those sitting things, I want to encourage you to take a break and go get some movement. Go get some intentional movement. And learn stick stretching. I may or may not say that another 1,000 times. It's my very favorite, and I'm super lucky that I have, all of the knowledge, but also all the sticks in my house, in my home, and I enjoy it so much, and it's really helps me with my mental, spiritual, and emotional health, but my physical, right? My posture. I've been walking around a table and looking down for 30 years when you combine massage and chiropractic. And that is just not what a body is meant to do. And that is not the same as getting movement in my spine or movement in my body. I think it is probably slightly better than sitting, but it is not what my body wishes for me to do more of. And so when I come home, I stand in, some people call it superwoman pose, but I like to have my hands on my hips and I stand really tall, or I make my hands in a fist and I just really stand up tall and then also reach my hands above my head, and I'll take my stick and do just that, just to remind my spine that she still has full mobility and that I don't want her to believe that I'm no longer mobile just because I wasn't using my body more. And essentially, that's what I want to encourage you to do. Undo whatever postures you're mostly doing. And posture really is more and more important as you get older. So let's put in the work now so that we don't have to undo what we did later. Friends, I hope you found this helpful, maybe a little inspiring. And I really hope you can come up with some things on your own. Motivate yourself to create a program that works for you. And, you can do it for 4 weeks, or you can do it for 21 days, or you can do it for 6 weeks, or just for the winter, or, whatever, and then switch it up. I highly encourage you to switch it up and either build from there or change it entirely. Whatever is right for you. Absolutely. Unlikely that is not the same thing that is right for me. But when you find an accountability buddy and somebody with whom to share the enthusiasm, I promise that is really well worth it too, because all of your people want you to thrive. I'm sending my very best. I love you. I appreciate you. And I look forward to next time. Thank you so much for being with me.